Jared, where are you now?
You know, my life has turned around, you know, like 720 degrees, you know. It's like, it's insane to me, for me to be where I'm at now. Now is like, I'm in a job, working a couple of days, doing case management and counselling at a drug and alcohol rehab. I work a couple of days at the surf club with you, my boy.
Yeah, rap.
Weird thing for me to iron out, like working in a drug and alcohol rehab and also pouring beers. But you know, that's pretty much only for like that. I'm there for the purpose that it works well with my other thing that I'm doing, which is getting my degree. So I'm also studying, getting my bachelor degree in counselling at the moment. You know, it's a miracle to me that I'm even there doing it, getting it done, and I'm only like 6 months away from finishing, which is just wild to me because, you know, 5 years ago when I was just full blown in active addiction, just partying every weekend, like I had such low self-worth, I had such low, you know, self-esteem and, you know, like thoughts of doubt and inadequacy about myself that I never even thought that that was possible for me to be like, oh yeah, you know, because I hated school, I dropped out, you know, never tried at school. So I just always assumed that uni was off the cards, like I just never thought that I had it in me. But yeah, like to be nearly finished uni now, and then in a job also where like I'm actually serving and helping people through the same stuff that I struggled with, it's just crazy, you know. Even though I still struggle with a bit of doubt and inadequacy.
Of course.
But I think also, you know, God keeps opening the doors to things that I just never would have thought were possible, never could have imagined, and
doors you didn't know existed.
Yeah, and like I keep faithfully like walking through them, even though they cause me a bit of doubt and anxiety and inadequacy. But I feel like God definitely does that. I remember I tell this story to the people to the people at the rehab, because obviously, you know, like I've been doing a bit of public speaking and stuff as well, but God 5 years ago told me inside, like in church, when I was still in addiction and I was trying to sort my life out, you know, you can go to church while still in addiction as well, guys, just so you know. Yes. You don't need to be perfect before you come to God.
That is a big stigma.
Yeah.
Get into that later.
We could talk about that. But like, yeah, God told me like, you'll be up on stage one day, like you'll be speaking one day. And I just laughed, you know what I mean? Because I had failed classes in school because I refused to talk in front of people. I hated it.
Oh, dude.
Like, it just made me sick. I'd never wanted to do it. You know, public speaking was just one of those things that was just like, nah, I'm never doing that. Which is a common thing. It's like one of the biggest fears. Which again, I was just like, I have no idea where that comes from, do you know what I mean? Like, just, it has to be God because there's no way, you know what I mean? 5 years ago, I was just like, no.
When you did have that called that day off work and you had that meltdown, you were thinking about your purpose. Did you ever think about like the things you are now? Was that the purpose that you have now? Was that the purpose you discovered back when? Or?
No. So I had a bit of an interesting journey. Like,
it's really shifted, has it?
Yeah. So God highlighted to me one day the difference between like passion and purpose, right? Because when I started thinking about what I valued, the things that I wanted to do, and just some messages that I had got over my life, I had always really loved movies, right, and acting. I loved it. You know, always had a great appreciation for movies and acting, and so when I really started to think about my life, originally I got led to like acting and modeling, and I went down that path for a while, you know. I really loved it. Like I was having so much fun, and that in itself sort of got me out of that place of helplessness, hopelessness, and having nothing going for me, because I actually had goals then, you know. I was doing acting classes and I was getting some work here and there, and that also sort of was helping me to give up the alcohol and the drugs all the time, because I was like, well, I actually need to look after myself, because I'm like, you know, going in front of the camera or doing this. I need to be able to think, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that sort of gave me something to aim at, something to move towards, you know, which was amazing, and it was incredible, and I was loving it. I had this yearning, like, in my heart always, to be sharing with other people the stuff that I was learning. And so that's when God sort of highlighted the difference to me between passion and purpose. Like, I was passionate about acting, but what I was purposed for is to help people. Like, even ever since a young age, I think people naturally felt comfortable to talk to me, so I feel maybe naturally, like, skilled and gifted in that space.
So university was sort of like one of those doors that you didn't know existed, but God presented to you.
Dude, God got me in there, dude. Because I originally, like, I applied for uni, but I didn't have my degree. I mean, like, I didn't have my year 12. I didn't have TAFE. I didn't have anything backing me to get in there. And so I was like, I'll take my shot, you know. And so I applied, and they rejected me.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Bouncing off.
Alley-oop it.
Nah,
but, like, so originally they rejected me. But then they were like, you can try and get in this other way, which is, I can't remember what they call it, but they send you, like, a few questions that you have to write short answers to, and then they test you on, like, your literacy and grammar and English and writing skills and whatever, and they'll see if you're, like, suitable that way. And I had not written anything in years, dude.
Bro,
even at school, I was just, you know, I never tried.
So
this was the first time that I had put effort into writing anything, and I was just like, oh God, you got to help me, you know. Even if they let me in, it'll be like, you know, starting
the next
second trimester or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so I sent it off, and then like a week later they had got back to me. They're like, you're in. You start in first trimester, which was like 3 weeks away. I was just like, what the heck is going on? I was like, my whole life was like, got shifted at that point, because I was like, I didn't even think that I would get in. I didn't think that I was capable, you know, and that I was just sort of taking a shot in the dark. And then it was just like, bang, you're in university. You actually start in like 3 weeks. You know, you got to get your shit together. And I was like, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what have I done? But even that in itself, I was like, it started to sort of rewire my own thinking about my capabilities. You know, I think that's when we get stuck. We get stuck if we keep feeding into that life. We keep feeding into that story that I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, I can't do it. And we don't take action against it, we will forever be in that cycle. But it's when you start to take action against those lies, against those stories, you start to carve this, you know, you actually take action that produces different results. You start to produce different stories and mindsets about yourself. And so I've had that continually over the path that I've been on in the last 5 years, because I've just started to continually push the boundaries and push the limits with myself, and just think, you know, well, I know I feel this doubt, I know I feel like, oh, am I really capable to do that? I don't know, I'm just going to do it anyway.
It's honestly just evidence to reinforce and just use against that voice.
That's why I was just about to go into like reinforcement, because like a lot of people, we think that it's thought that reinforces, you know, our behavior, but I'm actually on the other side of things. I think the behavior is the more powerful reinforcer, because it's like
100%.
Say you're applying for a job, right, and it's like a little bit out of your league, or it's, you know, it's not what you're trained for or skilled for or whatever, but it's something that you might want to do, and you think, like, I'm not going to get it because I don't really have the skill set for it or whatever. That thought of like, I'm not capable and I don't have the skill set, I'm not able to do it, is reinforced by not applying for the job. So you think that you don't apply for the job, you don't get the job because you didn't apply, and you go, yeah, cool, I know. Like, reinforces that belief that I don't have the skill set. But if you actually just take a chance, if you apply, you know, and you get an interview or whatever, you might get the job. Like that, it changes the thought patterns, you know, it changes that reinforcement.
So that's so true. I just, through listening to you then, dude, I was just connecting dots. You know, I you know, was a big pothead, but it was so hard for me to get out of the late nights and the going out and the just smoking up and having that sesh. And as much as the thoughts in my head I wanted to stop and get out of it, I couldn't, because it was just the action. And I realized after so much action, so much reinforcement of doing that, like just having a thought of not doing it wasn't enough to stop. And it was weird. It was like it was this big it was like a chain event.
Yeah.
But there are also good chains, but that was one of the bad chains that I sort of had, and it became habit, you know, and it was no matter how much I thought, like, whatever, and it wasn't necessarily bad. I guess, you know, I think where it really defeated me was getting stuck in your head, you know, just when your little personal voice gets louder and they start talking more and they start kind of telling you just fibs, just fibbing to you and really just lying. And I think that's where it really got bad.
That is so much of our destructive habits, is avoiding discomfort, negative affect, negative emotion that we hold, negative situations that we're like having to deal with our life. So much of the destructive things that we do is the avoidance of that. We don't want to deal with the reality of life, what's going on, and so we avoid everything. We can do that through healthy stuff like the gym, but ultimately, like, that can be destructive too if we're just avoiding the reality of our situation.
Yeah.
So this is why purpose and goals are so important, is because like that's how we produce positive emotion, is when we feel good when we move towards purpose, when we move towards goals that are valuable, when we see ourselves closing the distance between us and our goals. That actually produces the same like positive emotion. But so I think it's Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl has a quote that says like, the man who lacks purpose ultimately seeks pleasure. Because like if you're not getting the positive reinforcement, if you're not getting the positive emotion by putting in the effort and seeing yourself move towards a valued goal, because you don't have value, like you don't know what your values are, you don't know what your purpose is, so you're not moving towards anything that's valuable, so you're not experiencing any positive emotion. What are you left with? Drug-induced positive emotion. You
want to get that straight away, supplement it with pleasure.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
But and like also, so what's happening also when we move towards purpose, when we move towards valued goal, like yes, it turns on our positive emotions, but it also like we're less susceptible to experiencing like negative affect in its fullness when we're moving towards purpose.
That's so true. Because you know you're going to gain from it.
Yeah.
Like suffering that you gain from, that you know you're going to gain from, not, you know, silly suffering.
Yeah.
But the right, you know. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Dude, that is such a great realization. That is such a...
Well, it's like you're gonna suffer either way, you know. But you're either gonna suffer walking uphill, or suffer rolling downhill. And so, I'd rather suffer uphill.
100%. Perch at the top of that hill and look over everything.
Yeah.
I think that is a great feeling when you have worked hard and you do get to the top of that hill and you just lay in the grass, you just fall down.
But the interesting thing, like going back to or like the science behind things, like it's like we're actually built to walk uphill. The emotion, like the positive emotion that you feel is when you're walking uphill. It's not even necessarily attaining the goal, although that feels good, because like when you get to the top, you're like, that was sick. What's next?
Everything we've talked about ties in perfectly with my third final question, but it's just what's scripted, you know, what to ask you, and that is I've asked you about the past, present, and then now the future, and that question is, where do you see yourself going?